Hello everyone. Today's video can be a bit painful for those who love games, but hate spoilers. On the other hand, what if you finished some RPG game a few years ago, but still don't know that it had an alternative ending? Or even a bunch of them? Some developers hide secret endings so well that it takes ages for players to discover them. Today, you'll see it for yourself. Let's get it on. Devil May Cry 5. Released last year, this game became a worthy next installment of the franchise. The same old-school slasher, excellent cutscenes and an exciting storyline. And of course, the developers put a bunch of secrets into it. For example, the game has 2 endings. If you've not yet reached the usual one, better cover your ears. The standard ending assumes that you complete all the missions. At the end, you'll see Dante and Virgil fighting each other, who will eventually team up to cleanse the underworld from demons. But pro gamers can see the end credits much earlier. Do you remember the battle in the prologue with the demon lord Urizen, which Nero inevitably loses? It turns out that if you try hard enough, you can defeat the demon. He'll say the phrase, "Is this my limit?" and the player can celebrate. There's nothing else to do in DMC 5. Hooray! You just finished the 10-hour slasher in 30 minutes. Far Cry 4. Everyone who completed the 4th part of Far Cry is still haunted by Kirat flashbacks. The brutal shootings, chases, explosions, elephants, people. What if we tell you that this bloody massacre could be avoided and Pagan Min is not such a bad guy after all? The shooter requires a lot of self-control from the player, but it'll take even more patience to see the alternative ending. Remember where the action begins? During lunch, Min, who looks very dangerous, asks you to wait a little and leaves. Some gamers immediately interpret this as a signal for action and run away. Some wait for a couple of minutes and plunge into the game. Turns out that all you need to do is do as you were told. If you sit at that table for about 15 minutes, Min will return and allow the hero to scatter the ashes of his mother where she wished. Ubisoft developers are geniuses. Among Us. Of course, our selection would be incomplete without this masterpiece. Who would have thought that such a seemingly simple game would inspire so many fan theories? Recently, another theory appeared. It completely reinterprets the plot and the outcome of each round. Are you ready? So, it says that there are actually no imposters at all. The crew members just made up a scary story about imposters for fun, but one guy on the crew took it a bit too close to heart. Being isolated in space, he got a bit mentally unstable. He developed paranoia, and now he's killing everyone he suspects of being an imposter. This madman thinks that he's acting like a hero, but in reality, he's hurting the entire team. As a result, he becomes a real imposter. That is also why he can't complete tasks. He can only think of one goal. There is something to think about though. Share your thoughts on this matter in the comments section. Mass Effect 2. Many still consider Mass Effect 2 the best game in the series, with its carefully crafted storylines, a combat system, and of course, an awesome final suicide mission. All previously made decisions, completed missions, and quests to increase loyalty are put together into a single final experience. The player goes on the last mission almost blind, but with the hope that he did everything to protect the ship and the crew. So, the real goal of the mission is to test your loyalty to the game. Only loyal fans know that you can finish the battle with no losses at all. The rest lose some part of the team depending on the number of mistakes they made, but the alternative ending is available only to those who were in a hurry and didn't care about the side quests. If there are less than 2 teammates left in the squad, Shepard will jump and die. Oops, you won't be able to import the character into the 3rd part of the game then. Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Are there people old enough to remember this game among us? Now, we'll see how many hours you spent completing the legendary game. Does it end with Alucard defeating Richter? If the answer is yes, please accept our sincere condolences. You haven't explored the castle well enough and have missed a great alternative ending. It was available to those who found the ring and learned that Richter was under the influence of Shaft's spell. After defeating the sorcerer, another castle unlocks. It's a reversed version of the first one, but with stronger enemies. You need to find 5 objects there: a ring, an eye, a tooth, a rib, and a heart of Dracula. to defeat the true final boss and see the real ending. Now you've got a good reason to get that old console out from the shelf. Tetris. You may get the feeling that Easter eggs and alternative endings are a shtick of the more recent games. Actually, this tradition's quite old. Even in Tetris, the developers managed to hide a surprise for especially skillful players. If you try your best, you'll remember that most Tetris devices had two modes. A-Type is a standard endurance game where you have to start with the usual empty field. The point of Mode B is to clear 25 lines, and it has a special ending. If you set the difficulty level to 9, choose an initial height of 5 and complete the game, these Russian dancers will congratulate you. They'll dance to music that's not found anywhere else in the game. You can check it out if, of course, you still keep this ancient artifact. T-Rex game. 2 years ago, on the 10th anniversary of the Chrome browser, Google has prepared a surprise for everyone who suffered from the unstable internet connection. The famous dinosaur game got an update. At the very beginning of the race, the player could pick up a gift in the form of a cake, after which a funny little party hat appeared on the T-Rex's head. It even had tassels moving in the wind when you're running. Moreover, when switching between the day and night mode, the hat also changed its color. The guys even drew balloons in the background. While other companies were adding microtransactions to their games, they were working on something really important. By the way, we said at the beginning of the race, but does this game have an end? If you ever lost your connection for the entire day, you probably know the answer. This game is endless. You get 99,999 points, and the game starts all over again, but it doesn't make the game any worse. Slenderman The Arrival. Generally, one should not expect a mild plot from a survival horror, but in Slenderman The Arrival, even the last scene is terribly grim. However, there is a secret level in the game that can be considered an alternative ending, though it is also kind of scary. You need to find the post with the missing Charlie Matheson Jr. 3 times. Done. Now you're playing hide and seek with Slenderman. First, you're looking for a creepy creature, and you can't stop the game. Then, you're sent to the main menu. You choose the next stage, and a real nightmare begins. Slenderman promises to find you. The screen is distorted by terrible interference. Then it turns black, and the hero finds himself outside, on fire. The long-armed monster approaches until the words, "You are dead," appear. This is literally the end of the game. Attempts to start it over only show you a scene where the main character looks at the sky for a couple of seconds and dies. Only restarting will help. Metal Gear Solid 5. For now, let's just give a round of applause to all the Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain players. The guys were able to accomplish the impossible. The game had a secret ending. To unlock it, it was necessary to neutralize all available nuclear weapons and stop creating new ones within the regional server of a specific platform. PlayStation 3 users have spent 5 years trying to achieve this. In the summer of this year, the in-game counter only briefly dropped to 0, but this was enough for the long-awaited cutscene to launch. Its events unfold on Mother Base. Big Boss rejoices in world peace, but urges everyone not to relax. In short, the game has a good philosophical overtone. Well, Kojima is a genius after all. Silent Hill 2. We understand that you don't really want to return to the world of Pyramid Heads and other monsters, but you just have to. First, Silent Hill 2 is featured in the list of the best games of all time. And second, are you sure you unlocked all the endings? Remember that, according to the plot, James Sunderland receives a letter from his deceased wife Mary, and is walking the line between reality and fiction. After going through all sorts of hell of the resort town, you can unlock 3 different endings of the game. But that's not all. By unlocking the main endings filled with deep and dark meaning, the player gains access to a comic ending. Perhaps it should cure the player's depression after he finishes this nightmare 3 times. You need to find a doghouse in a vacant lot across the road from Rosewater Park. It will contain the key to the observation room at the Lakeview Hotel. You will not be able to contain your laughter. Inside, you'll see a Shiba Inu dog operating some kind of control panel. Turns out that all events of the game were orchestrated by the animal, and the credits will begin to roll accompanied by a goofy tune. Believe us, it's worth playing the game again just to see it. Shenmue. Once again, we invite you on a nostalgia trip. This time, let's revisit the world of Shenmue, a game released for the Dreamcast in 2000. The story begins on November the 29th, 1986. The main character, Ryo Hazuki, witnesses the death of his father. We learn that a certain Lan Di committed this murder. Naturally, Hazuki decides to take revenge, and from this moment, he begins an epic adventure following the villain. For a long time, there were rumors that the game had an alternative bad ending, but users couldn't find it. But, as you understand, it was discovered after all. You can see the hidden cutscene if you don't finish the game before April 15th, 1987. At first glance, it seems that this is impossible, but there's one trick. You need to sneak into the old warehouse area and lose the flashlight catching QuickTime event. The day will pass, and if you don't touch the controller for some time, then several days will fly by. Do it several times and enjoy the scene.
Lan Di!
Streets of Rage. Many kids have suffered from the intricacies of this legendary fighting game. The game was often not translated, and no one could understand what the final boss was saying. Players mashed buttons at random, after which a hatch opened under the characters and they were thrown back to the 6th level. After this, they didn't want to launch Streets of Rage ever again. But as you can imagine, this is not the only possible ending. In a single-player mode, you can take revenge on Mr. X for all the atrocities. All you need to do is refuse the offer of cooperation and win the fight. In the two-player mode, there are a couple more options. The criminal invites the characters to join him, and if you and your friend don't agree and choose different answers, you'll have to fight each other, though the winner still has the same two options: either go back to the same 6th level or defeat Mr. X. This is somehow illogical, don't you think? Batman Arkham Knight. If you remember what kind of perfectionist Bruce Wayne is, the idea of having two endings in Arkham Knight becomes clear. Yes, this game has two similar yet completely different final cutscenes. The first is available to those who completed the main storyline, caught the 7 most wanted villains, and stopped there. Wayne's manor explodes, and we can only guess what happened next. The players who catch all 11 villains, solve all the puddles of the Riddler, and complete all the side quests will be rewarded with a much more intriguing ending. After the explosion of the manor, the cutscene will continue. We learn that Gordon became mayor of Gotham, but crime has not yet been completely eradicated. A couple with a child, reminiscent of Bruce's parents, encounters robbers in the alley. There's no one to help them because Batman is dead, but a figure of some superhero suddenly shows up on the roof. Criminals mock the stranger, but then he turns into a nightmarish creature engulfed in flames and smoke. What was it? The effect of a fear gas? A new superhero? You've got to admit that this is quite a mystery. Dark Souls 3. Dark Souls 3 has 3 endings: basic, true, and alternate. Guess which one is the best? That's right, the 4th one, which is a secret one. The problem is that the Lord of Hollows ending is only available to a chosen few. After all, critics had a good reason to say that it's impossible to predict the consequences of actions in the game. It's easy to miss meetings and dialogues that are important for the development of the plot. With this in mind, it's really not an easy task to unlock a secret ending. Any mistake can ruin everything. You need to talk to a number of important NPCs, including Yoel, Yuria, and Anri, get 5 dark signs until a certain point, the Sword of Avowal, and 3 more signs. If you have enough strength and patience, you can start this quest. But if you're lazy like us, just enjoy this scene by the fire, thanks to those who have already done everything for us. Hold on a second. Do you want to see some crazy stories from real life? Nothing dull, only action, only adventures, chases and fights, love confessions and sudden betrayals. Don't believe us? Well, follow the link and see for yourselves. Our animation channel Private Diary reveals the deepest secrets. Don't forget to subscribe.